How you doing? Okay, so I just wanted to show you the helmet as it is now before I do it up, and talk a little bit about why I got it, why it's in the state it's in, and where it's going from there. Okay, as you all know, I have a Hasbro helmet which I've been doing up and fixing and making it more realistic. Okay, and I wear that with my costume as it is. Now most people don't even realise the Hasbro helmet until I say it, and once I do, then they're basically all over it. Hey, that's a kid's helmet, that's not correct, blah 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 blah, and other stuff, shit that goes along with it. So I wanted to stop that from happening by getting a resin cast helmet that I'm going to wear for my costume and stop all that from happening. But I'm a teacher, I'm a teacher salary, I'm married, I have 2 kids, I don't have that much money to be spending on a helmet that's going to cost about $150 to $200, depending who the maker is. So I jumped at a chance of getting a helmet from a guy in the States that was damaged. He was trying to do it up, he gave up on it and sold it off to me for $50. Some people say that I spent too much on it, some people said I should have got it for free. That's neither here nor there. Okay, I didn't mind paying the $50 for it, and that's that. So I'm going to bring you in, show you the helmet, show you the damage to it, show you what I've been doing to fix it up, and then I'm going to tell you the process that I'm going to do to get it to a state that we're going to be able to wear it again. If it doesn't work out, at least I'll have a nice display piece. But for the moment, my plan is reinforce all the weak spots, reinforce all the breaks and gaps with the 10-minute epoxy, and Bondo and sand the outside of it and get it looking like a helmet again. Once I cut out all the parts, the visor and the vents, we'll think about what's going to happen after that. I need to sand it down. There's still some cast lines that you can see. I need to sand them down, Bondo fill them as well and sand them down, prime it and get it painted. I think after all that, then I'll figure out what I'm going to do with the neck ring. If I take it off completely, it doesn't matter, I can still get to wear it then, but we'll do something with it. But this is how it looks at the moment, and I'll show you how the progression goes. Okay? Right, so here she is. This is the resin cast helmet that I bought. That's damaged. Okay, now who the actual manufacturer is, I don't know. If anybody out there knows who actually made these, please tell me. Leave it in the comments box below. It'd be greatly appreciated. Okay, because when people ask where does it come from, I'll be able to tell them, but at the moment I don't know who the maker is, to be honest with you now. But I just know that it looks pretty good, and it is a little bit more damaged than I originally thought. The guy didn't lie to me. He did say it was a damaged helmet, but he just didn't explain the full damages to it. So I'm going to bring you in and just show you some of the damages on it, and then tell you about what I'm doing to fix it. Okay, so one of the first bit of damage that you can see very clearly there is the front bit has a lovely crack running down the front of it there. So it looks like at some point this took a face plant straight into the ground off somebody's shelf and smashed it open. And then there's a lovely chunk taken out the cheek just there that he has tried to fill up with some type of black epoxy resin type stuff. I don't know what it is. And then he's tried to sand it down, and it looks like he's fixed the damage all across the side part as well as into the cheek. I don't know really what happened to this. Going around the back, then there is more damage all the way around, where again it looks like he's filled it up and tried to sand it down as well. This carries right round the bottom onto the other side, where there was a bloody big hole here where there was a piece of it missing. Okay, and as you can see then there's a lovely big dent in this part as well. Okay, from closer inspection I've kind of realised that maybe this was just a bad cast. Okay, the top part of it seems to be fine, but the casting for the lower part just seems to be very weak, and that's what he was trying to fix up. Okay, or he was trying to cut off the back part, because it looks like he'd been cut straight around the seam, and he was trying to make a two-part section for the next seal. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, as you can see, there's some of that more black stuff inside that he tried to use to fix it. Goes around the back there, pieces that he's done up. So what I've been doing is using a two-part epoxy resin to basically reinforce the whole inside of it. The epoxy resin I'm using is a 10-minute set, so it meant that after every 10 minutes I could then apply a little bit more, move it around, and that's how then I was able to fill up that gap there, a lovely hole. That's all filled in with clear resin. It goes around. It looks like they've tried to reinforce the cheek. All this heavy yellow resin that you see here was put in by the previous owner. That is not done by me now, and it is a disgusting job, to be honest with you now. It's a terrible job. They've tried to reinforce it by slushing in some resin, which to me, bad idea, because look, he's got a big chunk of it there in the cheek piece just down the bottom. That is a big heavy chunk just there. You can just see it, looks like it makes no sense. And then around the back. But as you can see, I have been adding in some clear resin. And you can see also how translucent part of this helmet is because of the build, and that's why he was trying to reinforce it with his own stuff. There's still the cheek on this side I need to reinforce, because again it is like paper. Look at that, just the cheek part. It's a lovely beautiful white piece. Now I wouldn't have been able to hold it like this a few days ago because the whole thing would have just fell apart, but now it's solid again. My resin's holding, my clear resin, and it's doing its job. So I just need to put some more into this cheek to reinforce it. It's just down here, it needs to be done. Oh, sorry, this side needs to be redone. Now once all that's done, what I will be doing is I will be covering this in Bondo to fill in all the gaps and bumps on the outside, and then sanding it down and getting it into a smooth shape. Okay, I asked the guy about the greebly that goes in here. He gave me a reply of, oh, I'll have a look for it in the shed, and I haven't heard from him since. So I've asked a friend of mine who has a very similar helmet to give me a photograph of his front and greebly, and I'm going to end up probably making my own greebly to go in here. That's the way it's going to be. I have to make my own because I don't think the guy has it. He didn't even know it existed, to be honest with you. As regard to the neck seal, at the moment this does not go in your head because the neck seal's on it. I could go down the route that the guy probably was trying to do and have a detachable bottom ring, but because of all the damage and all the reinforcements we're doing at the moment, I don't think that is a good suggestion, because all it's going to do is weaken it back up again. So my plan is to cut off the neck seal, see if it fits on my head, and recreate a second new neck seal on it, okay, that I can actually get my head through. That's the plan at the moment for that, but I'm not too concerned about this part at the moment. I'm just thinking about how to fix all the damages and get this all smooth and looking proper. Okay, so here we are. This is our next update on the helmet, and as you can see, things are happening already. Okay, so I'm going to bring you in close and I'm going to show you what's going on. Okay, the first thing you can notice is that we have bondoed, fixed and glued and did everything we can and sanded down all the cracks and bumps. So that lovely dint is gone, the crack is all covered up and sealed. We've given this a good sanding down. That big blob has practically disappeared. We've reinforced the cheek from the inside and filled the gaps on the outside. Again, all the blemishes have been done. Again, bondoed, sealed, sanded down all the way around again, and so all those horrible little gaps and bumps are now gone. I realised then that there was a big chunk taken out of here which I hadn't noticed before, which I filled in
but it's not going to be perfect, but we'll get it as good as we can. And this is how this bit all looks now once the Bondo and epoxy have done their jobs and good sanding. As I said before, there was a big hole here and crack. That's all gone, and it has a lovely thick epoxy resin on the other side now to stop that from happening. As you can see, I've cut out the vents on it as well, all the way around. They were a little job. I'll show you in a minute why they were a little bit hard thing to do. The visor came out beautifully because it was a stepped in visor, which means when the guy was making this, whoever made this, was trying to do an amazing job he had actually done it that the visor was stepped in, and so there was a lip on the inside which made it a lot easier to cut. You can see a blue line there, which is where it helped me then to make sure that when I cut it, it's perfectly even across. Drilled out the vent holes as well. They just popped out like anything because they were really good. Now, the other problem that I had when I was doing this up, well, well, first of all, I cut the neck ring off. Okay, that went off, and as soon as I took it off, then I could fit it on my head. So in a second now I'll come back and I'll show you what I'm going to do with this. But I kind of showed you this in the last video. I don't know if you can see it now, the light's not so good. But when they were pouring whatever they were pouring into it, the resin, it kind of pooled here, and it's a big huge chunk, which means it was at least about an inch thick to actually drill through to get the vents. These vents are very strong, I can tell you that now. Okay, compared to the ones on the other side, which just popped out. They were really nice. But then again, there's another pool of resin just here as well, so this one was a bit hard to drill out. I don't know if you can see the shininess on that now. I've got some resin to reinforce the cheek on that one. One of the things I had to do was try and drill out and sand down all the bumps. Okay, if you notice, the colour has changed inside quite a lot. It's because I've tried to get rid of a lot of that resin that was there, because it was just bumpy and all over the place, and there was a big huge bump sticking out here and here, which meant once you stuck your head into it, these things were sticking into the back of your head like pins. It was really terrible. Okay, the other thing I've done now is I've drilled out the hole at the back, which goes straight through then to here, so I can put a light on it later. Okay, so that's how she's looking. So I said I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this. Okay, in my last helmet I've been using this stuff, okay, and what it is, it's trimming. It's a rubber trimming which can be either used for anything, basically for covering glass, mirrors, sharp objects, anything you want. Basically it's just a piece of rubber with a split in it. So I'm either thinking of just sticking that on all the way around like I did with my Hasbro helmet and making a seal that you'll see just a little bit underneath, or I got a thicker one, a corner piece. Again, this is a foam pieces that I can either use that instead and make a thicker one, or use it as a piece to stand up and put the other one onto. I don't know yet. I'm still working on that, and I'll let you know when I do it. Okay, so that's the helmet, and as you can see, she's looking pretty damn good now. I'm really happy with that. I know you can still see a line there, but that's actually filled in on the other side. It's actually a hole, so I can't do anything more about that, and it's actually smooth. There's nothing there. You can just see the line though. Okay, because it's all epoxied in, a clear epoxy. Oh, actually, I didn't show you these bits. I got rid of all the cast lines and everything, and they all just sanded down nicely. So she's all beautiful again. And it's going to get a good coat of Tamiya surface primer. Okay, this is for plastic and metal in grey. It's going to get liberal coats of this. And then it might get another quick sanding. I don't know, we'll see how it goes depending on how the undercoat goes. And then I've got this, basically it's all weather, all purpose outdoor acrylic paint that we get here in Japan in white, big tin of it, and this can be put on metal and plastic for outdoor use and protect it from the weather. So this is really good stuff. I've used it on my armour and it actually is amazing. So I've got a whole can of this to go on the helmet to give it a nice gloss, well not gloss but a nice coating anyway. So we've still got a lot of work to do. So I'm going to bring you back now once I've started the undercoat, and then maybe also to talk a bit more about what I'm doing, and then probably come back again after that with how the white paint's going on. But it's going to take some time, and unfortunately the weather has turned bad again because we have a typhoon on the way, another typhoon, which means at the moment we have heavy rain, which I don't need because I need to get out onto my balcony to do my painting. Okay, she has been coated in primer, sanded, primered, sanded again, and she's not looking too bad now. Okay, she's not 100% perfect, but then again this helmet is not 100% perfect anyway, and I've done the best I can, to be honest with you now. Okay, we have really done amazing jobs to get this to where it is now. I never thought I'd be able to get it the way it is, but as you can see, a little hole there, and I'm keeping that, and she's looking good. She's looking good. Okay, she's looking good. So there you have it. So now got to get some white paint on her, so that's when I'm going to bring you back now once I've put a few coats of white paint on it, and we'll see how it starts to turn into a proper shiny helmet. Well, the first coats of paints have gone on. Yeah, she's looking good, she's looking good. I'm really liking this now. That's only the first coat, it's only a light coat, and there'll be many more coats to go on. So time to check back in. The helmet has had numerous coats of paint, and it's slowly getting there. Okay, as you can see, we've got pretty good finish going on there at the top. There's still some marks that need to cover up. Okay, and the front of it's looking good. You'd never tell there was so much damage on it before, and as you can quickly see, I've put a new neck seal on it. I used the rubber as I said I was going to do. Now it's not perfect, okay, then again nothing I do is ever perfect. I try my best and I try to get it 100%, but there you go. And as I was painting this, and then I had left it outside, as some of you might know, we had a dreadful typhoon there a few days ago here in Japan that devastated a lot of areas, and the night before I had been trying to get as much done as possible, and a bit of wind had pushed it and I didn't realise, and boom, yeah, if you can see that, it's just a bit gnarly piece of paint there. See if we can zoom in, there we go, where it got pushed, where it fell against what I was holding it up against, and pushed the paint. So I'll show you later on how I'm going to fix that, but everything else is looking pretty damn good. Okay, as I said, all the damage that was all along here can't be seen anymore. Same here, all done around the back of it. Okay, she is looking damn good. Alright, so I'm pretty proud of it, except for that piece which I need to fix. So there you have it. That's the update of my helmet. I'm going to come in now and show you how I'm going to fix that spot. Right, so I showed you how I'm going to get rid of this. There's probably 100 other ways way better to do this, but this is just the way I'm doing it for this one. I've used it in the past and it came to work okay for me. Basically, I'm just going to get some sandpaper and I'll give it a good see if it's fully dry. Try to get it as smooth as I can.
circular motions. Not too bad. A little bit more. Smooth it down. There's enough paint on this, I'm not too worried that it's going to be really bad. A little hole there now, but that's fine. Sand it down a little bit more. Yeah. That's it. Okay. So there we have it. We have it nicely sanded down, and now we'll just go and paint it. Now, I usually find if you get some drips coming down like this one, if I just get my finger and just smooth it across, and smooth it across. Again, there's probably better ways of doing this, but I just find if I do this, when it dries, it'll be all gone. Now, as I said in many of my videos, I'm terrible at spray painting. Okay, I'm totally terrible. One of my biggest problems is that I have no patience when it comes to painting. I want it done. I want it done now, and I'm probably the worst person to be taking spray painting advice from. So, really, don't follow anything I say, because my stuff just about turns out okay. But as I said, and I'm not afraid to say it, I am one of the worst people for spray painting. I don't do enough of it to have really good experience. When I do get around to doing it, I don't get a chance to use really good paints. Main reason is because they're hard to find where I live in Japan, and then when I do find them, they cost a bomb. Okay, because they turn around and say there's import charges on it. I can travel into Osaka, I can find them in there, but again, as I said, they cost a fortune. And then even if I were to order them on Amazon and stuff like that, then it cost me a fortune because they have them down as imported items. So trying to find Krylon and stuff like that is very hard for me. I found one place nearby that does sell it at a reasonable price, but they only do certain colours like black, green, beige. I don't know where they got the stock from, but it's the same stock. They haven't restocked it up in the last 2 years. It's the same stock because nobody buys it, and it's one of the reasons why then when you do find a good paint here, it is expensive, because Japanese people don't do a lot of DIY, and so yeah, see what I'm doing, but don't really take too much advice from me, okay, as regards to. Right, so there we go. We've taken off the covering, and not actually bad as I thought. I've got a bit of bleeding here. I've got little bits on the sides, but they're not too bad. I can get rid of those. Don't mind. The paint chip effect that I was trying to get worked out a little bit better than I thought. Up the top, and on the side, clean it a bit more, got a bit more bleeding there. As I said, I can fix that. But otherwise, it's not too bad. I got a bit of bleeding up here, and a bit down there, but that's going to be covered in black paint, so I don't really mind that. A bit of stippling coming through, but once I weather it, that's all going to hide up, so I don't mind. I just got to fix this bit. This is the worst bit, I think.
But otherwise, I am pretty happy with this outcome. I really am. I don't mind it. It looks pretty good. So there we go. So now what I'm going to do now is I am going to get out my black paint and start painting this black all the way around. Then when that's done, then I've got grey to put in on either side. And then we can start thinking about weathering this little bad boy. Because that's really it. She's kind of done now. Yeah, it will all start popping out and getting ready, and then once all the painting's done, then I can start working on the electronics to go on the inside. I've got most of it all sorted out. I just have to place it. I'll show you what's going in. So hang on, I'll put it in and cover it up, and then the last thing I need to buy and to make is some of the padding to go inside the helmet. And I want to buy some foam padding to go around parts of the inside just to protect my face as well, because as we talked about before at the beginning of this build, the casting on the inside is a bit rough. I've sanded it down the best I can. I've even covered it in primer, but still it's still a little bit rough in places. That still might give me a few scrapes. So it's slowly getting there. Okay, so here you are. Little update. Okay, so we have put on the olive green drab from Krylon that I bought. It's the same one I bought a few years ago in one of my videos. I bought about 3 cans of it when I could, because they're very rare to get here, so I bought 3 cans of them. I'm still using the same stuff for all my armour, so it's all the same paint. So I have finally painted it on, started weathering it as well. I got Tamiya matte black to put around the band, and I've also got Tamiya grey to put in the visor piece here and also on the back. Okay, and I've started to actually put some weathering on it as well. What the weathering does is hide a lot of the bleeding that came through when I had peeled away the stuff, and all the damages that had been done previously to it that I couldn't get rid of. And you probably think it's a little bit weird at the moment, but once I start putting more weathering onto it, it's going to all start blending in and start looking really, really good. Okay, so don't worry. But there we have it at the moment. The grey's in the back there. Still have to put the light in. Ooh. That's that side. So that's the update for the moment. I've just given it a coat of clear coat to go at the top of it. That will hold everything on now, and what I'll do next, once that's dry, I'm going to start doing the black and brown shoe polish on it, and that will knock back the sheen and start to make it more battle damaged, and it will blend everything in once that happens, and we start putting a bit of brown on it as well. And then once that's done, then I'll put in the coat of clear coat on top of that again, and then we'll say it's done on the outside basically. The only thing I need to do then is make the little greebly that goes underneath the chin. It's a speaker or something it's supposed to be. That has to be made. I've got an idea of how I'm going to make that. And then we've got to put the electronics on the inside. Okay, so that's the update so far. Okay, another update. So she has been painted, weathered, and all finished as regards to painting is done. I just want to put a little bit down there. There's a little dent. I want to put a black paint on it. It looks like it is a proper dent. But it has turned out really, really well. I am extremely happy with the way this has turned out. The weathering has turned out really nice on it. Okay. As I said, I still got to do the greebly for in there. Whoops. Yeah, and then I still need to make the greebly to go in there, but otherwise it is looking pretty damn fine. The next bit I need to do now is put the light in the back, put in the fan system, which I will talk about, and then to put in the visor. Okay, but yeah, this is nearly finishing, and I've also got to put the grates on the sides and on the front as well to block that in, and then work on the padding. Okay, so yeah, that would be the next parts. But she's looking good. Right, okay, so we have the fan installed. I'm just going to bring you in now. Hopefully you can see how it is. Okay, so one fan over this side. The other fan is over this side. We have the cable running up, down to our controller box. And then we have our battery here. And from the outside, you can't see it really. Tucked away nicely, you can't really see it. Okay, and if I turn her on, I've got it up full blast now. You can hear these things whizzing away. That's my electronics. The only thing I might also put in here is some speakers, if I can fit them in over the ears. The reason for that is that I might be able to then put in a Bluetooth system so I can use my phone with it, or if I need to, I can always use it with an external mic, so I can hear from the outside as well, or an external amplifier should I say. But that's really it. The only thing I need to do now is to put the padding in. Now if you want to know how I'm going to do the padding on this, go check out one of my other videos about making padding for your helmet, and that will show you how it's done. Okay, so I'm going to bring you back in a few seconds. Well, for you it's going to be a few seconds, for me it's going to be a few days, when it's all padded out and all done. Okay, boys and girls, so she is finished. I've got the visor put in. People are wondering what the visor is. Here in Japan, school kids use a plastic sheet in between their books. Basically, when they got pages like this, they use a plastic sheet in between, which then when they write on it doesn't go through onto the next page. They do them in different colors here. They do them in red, green, see-through. They do some like maps, some like rulers, and then they sometimes do a opaque one like this, which you can then use as a visor. When I see them, I pick them up. They're pretty cheap and they work out great because you can see through them, and then when they're in the helmet you can't see them at all. Okay, what I've done on the helmet so far, as you probably know, I've got the light put in here at the back. The light goes on. Oh, and I have the fan system put in, as you've just seen, and I've also put in the padding. Now, I was going to do a different type of padding, which I've done in my other helmets, which is using basically car sponges and stuff like that covered in ladies' tights or stockings. But this time I decided to do something different. I actually went for packing foam, which I picked up from my local hardware store, and got this in a pretty thin strip. Put it in, cut out the bits that I needed, because I found that when I put in the other padding, the inside of here is actually very small for me. There isn't very much room because of the amount of fiberglass and resin the person has put in to try and fix a lot of the damage and the way it was sloshed around. I don't know if this was a B pull on the actual original helmet and that's why it was sold off cheap or something. I just don't know, but there wasn't a very lot of room, and there were certain points that were hurting my head when I put it on. The other problem is then the crown up here is very, very deep, so which means I had to do 2 layers of padding to get that sorted out. Then padding down the back, and then I had to cut out for the pieces that were raised out. Now, the yellow piece that you see here is actually a very thin EVA foam that you can buy here, and I just had some yellow one hot glued it on, and that just stops all the roughness and bumps and that from the actual helmet itself sticking in the back of my head, and gives me a bit of padding. The wire mesh that I have in is from basically from door screens, the type of doors that you get on houses to keep out the insects. These are patches that you can buy to actually fix any holes you have in them. They come in a big sheet about this long with self-adhesive around the side. I just bought 2 of them. I had enough then to put over the front grille and the side grills on both sides, and I used some epoxy resin then to seal them in to keep it on, and that's not going to come out now because it's built in this part of the helmet. I did use some other type of ultra soft packing foam for my cheeks and for my nose, because my nose does get pressed up against here. Okay, as I said, this helmet is a bit small on the inside. And how did I attach the actual the actual visor? Again, I use some epoxy resin, UV resin, to hold it all into place. Okay, and that is really it. There's nothing else to say. Oh, the helmet is done and finished. I just want to say thank you for following this build. It's been a pretty long video. I do apologize. But as you've seen from the very beginning, there is a lot of work to do in this helmet. It was pretty heavily damaged when I got it. Fixing it up was a lot of fun. Finding out the faults in it has not been so much fun, such as having so much resin on the side parts around the slits. Not being able to cut off the back section so I can put the whole helmet on, and having to actually cut off the neck ring and replace it has been a bit of a disappointment for me. But it's all solved, it's all happy. The only big problem I have with this helmet is that it is a very tall helmet. And I'll show you what I mean. Right, so here's the helmet here sitting beside my Hasbro helmet. Now, I have the earpieces about the same. Okay, and as you can see, the Hasbro helmet is a bit taller on the top. But if you look where the visors are, this one is higher. If I put my finger there, you can see it's a good bit higher, which means that my viewing point, which would normally be here, is up here. And this makes a big difference when your head is inside the helmet, because my eyes are about here in this helmet, where of course in the Hasbro helmet then they're actually perfectly inside here. So that is a problem I have. I don't know if removing the neck ring that I put on it and replacing it with one exactly like my Hasbro one, will it fix the problem? A little bit, but I'm not too sure how much it will do, because it is a bit of a taller, it's a longer helmet, it's a slight bit longer. And it does make a difference when you put it on, because now the helmet sits right down on top of my neck. I can barely see out of it, and like I said before, my nose is pushed right up into it. I do feel that my Hasbro helmet is more comfortable to wear, even though they look about the same size. When they're side by side, it's hard to explain, but there you go. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you might have learned something. I know I've learned a lot, and I've had really great fun bringing this helmet back to life. If you want to see more videos like this, do check out my other videos. Please like and subscribe. You can follow me also on Facebook and on Instagram. If you need to find me on Facebook, just do a search, put in Rogue Clone Trooper, and you will find my channel. And do please pop over and say hello. Again, hope you've liked this video. Again, don't forget to hit that like button. Do subscribe. And as always, may the Force be with you.